The ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict is no doubt resulting in loss of lives, destruction of property, and huge economic losses not just to Ukraine, but it also has a ripple effect across the globe. And it will affect everyone across the globe, including you. Yes, you heard it right. One of its immediate impact on the world economy is the semiconductor industry. The semiconductor industry is one of the fastest growing industry. Semiconductors are a crucial element in modern electronics, making up an important component of many commonly used electronic devices including smartphones, tablets, and PCs. Essentially all modern devices that many of us have become so highly dependent on in everyday life. Semiconductors powers everything electronics, on Earth and also in space. Chip manufacturing is a difficult and complex process. The global semiconductor industry is interdependent, and no one nation in the world has managed to master the ecosystem as yet. Even before the Ukraine-Russia conflict began, there are huge shortages in semiconductors, and it was predicted that the shortage would continue well into the mid-2022. How did this shortage happen in the first place? COVID. The pandemic forced people to work from home and schooling from home. This in turn resulted in sudden surge in demand for laptops, mobile phones, and other electronic items. Companies scrambled to fulfill these demands by building to set up remote work systems. Cloud spending increased. Global semiconductor sales had increased from $412 billion in 2020 to $439 billion in 2021. Another major reason for the shortage is the auto industry. With cars getting more advanced, it needs semiconductors not just for advanced computer systems, but also for power steering. The shortage was already felt in 2021 due to the pandemic. The semiconductor shortage that was expected to ease by mid-2022 is likely to get worse as Russia and Ukraine are both suppliers of components used in semiconductor manufacturing. Russia attacking Ukraine will further stress the industry globally, and fears are that it can result in manufacturing constraints leading to supply shortages and semiconductor price hikes. Just like Taiwan, both Ukraine and Russia also play a pivotal role in the global semiconductor supply chain. Ukraine is a significantly important source and supplier of raw materials, including, for instance, semiconductor-grade neon used in semiconductor manufacturing. Similarly, Russia is a key source of palladium used in many memory and sensor chips. In fact, it accounts for 45% of the global supply. As such, the trickle-down effect of the war could potentially impact chip capacity and consequently spike chip prices within the semiconductor industry. There are companies that design semiconductor which are called fables. Companies which manufacture the semiconductors are called foundries. Companies which does both design and manufacture are called IDMs. Companies like Taiwan's TSMC, the contract chip makers, that share wafer specifications with fables companies and IDMs, post which these companies send their design IPs to be printed on the wafers. Wafers are then turned into semiconductors using high-precision processes and machinery sourced from companies such as Netherlands-based ASML, Japan-based Tokyo Electron, and Applied Materials of the US. When it comes to components, Russia is the leading producer of palladium. Palladium is essential for memory and sensor chips. It also produces several other key raw materials for computer chips, including the rare earth metal, scandium. On the other hand, Ukraine is a leading exporter of neon gas. It is a highly purified gas that is used for the most important process, etching circuit designs into silicon wafers to create chips. Russia and Ukraine are important in the supply chain of components for semiconductor manufacturing. They produce important gases and rare earth metals, which are used in the lithography. The industry was worth about $440 billion in 2020. As per research firm Statista, is estimated to grow to about $550 billion this year, is on its way to crossing $600 billion next year. Semiconductor supply chain is a complex ecosystem involving companies from different countries and continents for raw material, equipment, wafer manufacturing, packaging, fables companies, distributors, and finally electronics products as customers. Any small disruption in any part of this supply chain creates a bubble in this complex supply chain which affects everybody. This is similar to a small accident on the highway which can create a bubble and affect the traffic for many hours. Events like war have a significant impact on this ecosystem. Everybody fears escalation of situation, and to protect their businesses, start ordering semiconductor chips in advance, stressing the supply side of the ecosystem. Semiconductor ecosystem was just recovering from shortage of chips during the pandemic, and this war will further stress the system leading to shortage of chips. long lead times, and escalated prices, and eventually will impact all business verticals.